Perfect. Well, good morning or afternoon, depending where you are right now. Thank you so much for attending the digital workshop Selling Despite Distance. My name's Max. I'm a inbound growth consultant here at Flawless Inbound, and I'm joined by two of my coworkers. And let's get right into this. So, really quickly, who are we? Those of you who haven't been to a Flawless Inbound workshop before, we just want to go over this really quick. So Flawless Inbound is headquartered in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada, and we are a growth partner that specializes in partnering with organizations and enabling three areas of business for them: sales, marketing, and services. We're also a HubSpot Platinum partner, the only Canadian organization to hold the HubSpot Advanced Implementation certification. And here are the few of the things that we specialize in that you can check out a little bit later. With me today, joining us from Vancouver, BC, is another inbound growth consultant, John Robbins. John, you want to say hi to everybody?
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us.
And there's me, looking after the Alberta region, another inbound growth consultant. And lastly, the man himself, Seher Gadas, is joining us.
Good morning,
Seher,
everyone.
You want to say hi?
Absolutely. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining today. It's going to be a very engaging session, so we're really looking forward to it.
Awesome. Now, a lot of you know Seher very well. He's very much the face of this company, and as you know, Seher wears more than just one hat here at Flawless Inbound. So not only is he our Chief Revenue Officer, he is also our certified Uber Eats driver. Now, all of you filled out the same contact page to register for this event. So hopefully you saw at the bottom, there's a little form where you could specify your meal preference, because normally we do these workshops actually in Edmonton at the Derrick Club or in BC at the BC Tech. And we provide free coffee and breakfast for everyone. So there's a little form at the bottom of the registration page. Hopefully you saw it, and there should be a contactless breakfast waiting for you on your front doorstep. If there isn't, please blame Seher. Okay, moving forward, just a quick agenda for you all. So we're in the middle of the introduction right now. I'm going to pass it over to Seher, who's going to give some opening remarks and also explain why most of you don't have breakfast right now. John then is going to take it from there. He's just going to talk a little bit about the social proof behind selling from distance. Then we're going to get into the bulk and the meat and potatoes of this presentation. That's the 11 steps to build a sales automation framework. I know it said 9 on the registration page, but we added 2 more because we like to over deliver. And then I will pass it back to Seher to do some closing remarks, and we will open the floor for questions. Just to let you know, you can use the chat box at this current time. Seher is monitoring it. So please, if any questions arise throughout the presentation, feel free to input them, and we will answer them at the end on an orderly basis. From there, I'd like to pass it on to Seher.
Thank you, Max, and thank you everybody for joining today. We have live 54 attendants in the workshop today. A couple of things before we start. We want to make sure that the next 60 minutes is a good value of your time, so that hopefully it can influence your next 60 days from a sales efficiency perspective, big time. So we know we're stepping into a new journey. No one in our lifetime have faced something like this before. No one ever have faced something like this before. But I can tell you a couple of things. As Flawless Inbound is the team, we're using the HubSpot tool day in, day out. We have seen a lot of tactics and change in how we do selling. And what does it mean, social selling? And I can tell you one thing. Maybe 90% of people on the call today were account managers who travel everywhere and have face-to-face meeting, and they have their own playbooks on how to do things. Now, as of 2 months ago, all of us became inside sales reps. See, during those 2 months, usually we ask 3 questions to open a sales call. How are you doing today? How's your family? How's your team holding up? So interestingly, you will find that your customers and prospects are actually answering those questions. They're sharing with you emotionally how they feel about things. See, in the past, usually you ask those questions and usually they're meaningless opening. And maybe in 1 minute, everybody drills down into business conversation. Right now, the question of how are you doing, almost becomes like a new secret adult handshake code to open conversation. See, right now, when you're having a conversation with your customer or a prospect, literally you're using Zoom or GoToMeeting, you're speaking to them while they are at the dining table or the living room. You can see their kids, you can see your dog barking at the back. You're literally becoming more personal in how you speak to them. So definitely a new journey. And don't worry, we're adapting our process and sales enablement to help you with that. Either you're a team of 5 sales rep or 500 sales rep spread in the US and Canada. We know that the market are slowly opening again. So if you're US states, we know they're opening. If you're Canadian province, we know they're opening again. So definitely there is a big shift in how we do things. Next, one of the key things that we need to be careful with, and hopefully John and Max will share that with you today, is there are 2 key things you need to just remember. That now the message is not about how my platform is innovative or how my team is strong. The message right now that your prospect and customers will resonate more with is, how can I help you with cost efficiency, minimizing churn rate, add value to your operation? Second, just as a reminder, we know that there are 57 people on the call right now. You know exactly who's your persona. You know exactly who's your ideal customer profile. We get that. But now more than ever, be ready, because you might find yourself speaking immediately to multiple decision-making in departments in different organizations that maybe you're not used to speaking to before. Because you can zoom in with a decision maker and he can or she can tell you, you know what, let me bridge somebody else because I'm really interested in what you're saying. So how can you collaborate with your team members, and how can you actually use the CRM to be more effective in your day-to-day? Next, I want to say one thing. Now more than ever, being obsessed about your persona and who are you speaking to is more critical. See, in the past, if you're doing a networking session, you're doing shoulder to shoulder kind of conversation with a prospect, you can adjust your message on the fly. But now you have more time because you're working from home, and we're going to share with you how you start doing selling through distance. You should spend more time on building your message and tuning your message. And you should be doing a lot of A/B testing that we're going to be sharing with you right now. But listen, I don't want to take more of your time. In the next 60 minutes, let's all focus. I'll ask you for 2 things. This is your cell phone. Please do not put it on mute. Actually, I want you to put it on airplane mode. That's number 1, because I really want your attention. Second thing, open your browsers, shut down your email browser clients, shut down your Slack chats. The next 60 minutes, we really need your full attention to what the team are going to share with you. I'm going to ask John first to share with us how he is breaking or cracking the code with LinkedIn selling through distance. And then from there, I'm going to ask Max and John to share with you a day in the life of a sales rep and his and her team, how they're actually working from home, how they're collaborating and doing more. John and Max, are you guys ready?
Yes, we
I
are.
think so. I think so, Sahir. But does that closing down all our tabs, does that apply to John and I? Because I'm watching a really good episode of Tiger King in the background.
You know, keep that on the back end. Just put it on mute and think we should be good.
Perfect. All right, let's move further. John, I'm going to pass it over to you then.
Thank you, Max. And I apologize if you see my video stream go on and off here. I'm having some issues with my internet, so I might have to cut off my video stream to maintain the speed of the presentation. So you're all very familiar with this, adding value and prospecting at a distance, because whether we like it or not, we all have been forced into this. Now, distance selling, we are all familiar. We have done it in some form of the other in the recent past, and with this pandemic too. The focus in distance selling is not the sales process. Actually, the sales process still kind of stays the same, but the key in distance selling is a couple of things. The first main thing is, how do you generate leads? And the second thing is, how do you generate those leads to become qualified leads or qualified opportunities in your pipeline. So I'm going to deal with the first point here, which is generating leads through distance selling. There are two pillars to do this successfully. One is thought leadership, and the second one is customization. Even though I call it two pillars, they actually work hand in glove, right? And here in Flawless Inbound, what we did was, when this happened, we were pretty stressed out too, because things started to dry up. But we went back to the drawing board. And then this is how we went about our thought leadership effort. As you're seeing now, we went back to the drawing board and looked at the dynamics of the market that we were serving in the context of what's happening now. And then we decided as a team, okay, this is the business value that we can bring to the market based on what we were doing in the past. And this is what we can do really well. So now, with that being checked, how do we convey that to the market? What message will resonate? And how do we do that in an empathetic manner? So that's how we went about creating our thought leadership content, you should say, our thought leadership events, right? And once we did that, next what we did was we wanted to think about, okay, we have some good value to share. We did some survey. We kind of understood what resonates with them. How do we share it? How do we get people to take notice of what we are trying to do here? That's when we decided that LinkedIn is the primary channel through which we need to be sharing this thought leadership. So I know the minute I brought in LinkedIn, some of you are rolling your eyes. I understand. But bear with us, stick with us for a few more minutes, and you'll see how you can unlock the potential of LinkedIn. And right now, I think, Max, I think we have about 120 registered for this webinar. Am I right? Yes.
You're correct. Yeah.
And LinkedIn played a major factor in us getting that traction. So if you utilize LinkedIn properly, you can get good purchase on your investment. Now, the key with LinkedIn is, in the next slide, you will see that there are three kinds of users on LinkedIn, right? Or I should say four kinds. I'm going to talk about the first three here. And I'm pretty sure Max and Seher can resonate with this. Just kidding. The number one is, if you are a sales pitcher, who is a sales pitcher? So someone who is on LinkedIn, you connect with somebody, and as soon as they accept the connection, you immediately go into pitch mode. You say, hey, why don't you attend one of our events? Or do you need this? Or do you need that? Absolutely not the way to go about it. The second kind of LinkedIn user is the ghost. They get some kind of satisfaction from seeing the number of contacts swell up, right? Wow, I've gone past 500, I've hit 1,000, 1,500, but that's all their interaction or activity is with whomever they connect, right? That's not going to give you any results. And the third kind is the social butterfly, where yes, I know I need to interact with my network. I don't have time, so I'm just going to, even without reading what they're saying, just hit the like button or the insightful button, right? Without actually interacting and giving value and showing them that you really value this connection. So majority of them, 99% of them on LinkedIn use LinkedIn that way. And we all know, since we are business people, there's a saying that 80% of your revenue comes from 20% of your accounts. Not the case with LinkedIn. It's a little skewed for, as you see in the next slide, for strategists who use LinkedIn the right way. And there's only a handful of people who do that, like me here at Flawless Inbound. Sorry, guys, just trying to be funny here. But so these people use LinkedIn, and they use it with a strategy, because there are a lot of people on LinkedIn these days, a lot of people trying to do distance selling. So you need to have a strategy, and you need to be dedicated to be able to separate yourselves from the clutter, right? And that is a way that you do it. It's a 5-step process. And in the next slide, we are going to explain what are those 5 steps, give you a high level of that. So the first thing that you do on LinkedIn, again, LinkedIn is where most of the business decision makers are on. much more than say on Twitter or Facebook or Instagram. That's why we are focusing more on LinkedIn. And we have seen more purchase from our presence on LinkedIn, especially in the last 8 weeks or so. That's how we flip the script. That's why we are focusing on LinkedIn. So the first step is to find the right, so as Seher pointed out, you know the personas, you know what kind of personas respond to your messaging, right? So now you look at your market and see how the dynamics has changed. And if it's changed, what kind of personas you should be targeting. And you need to find a way to drill down deeper and to see if one particular person or multiple decision makers in a company is worth your time connecting and building a relationship, right? So once you figure that out, we are going to show in the next slides how you can do that based on the personas that you want to target. The next step is actually sending out that connect, right? And how do you connect that? Customization plays a big part in that. We're going to give you some tips on how to effectively connect and increase your chances of connecting with someone on LinkedIn. And once you connect, that's when you have to slow down. You have to curb your instinct if you are in sales to start immediately pitching. You have to give it some time to create much better engagement and build a relationship. As you see, that's the fourth step. And once you have the trust, once they know that you can provide them with value, and how you do that, we're going to talk about that. That's when the fifth stage happens, which is convert. Now, when we say convert here, we are not talking about an opportunity in your deal pipeline. We are talking about how can you take your interaction from the social media realm to a very specific interaction between businesses. So that could be a Zoom meeting, a phone call, or this person telling, hey, that's interesting, let me register for this event. Or, hey, John, Max, let's have a conversation. Looks like, this might be something I could spend my time on. So those are the 5 steps that you need to follow in your distance selling when you're using LinkedIn. Now, to give much more details on each of these steps, on the next slide, we'll be talking about LinkedIn Sales Navigator. The first step is find, right? And what we are doing here at Flawless is using LinkedIn Sales Navigator and the filters that you see here. There are multiple filters that you can use to drill down to the actual leads and accounts that you want to talk to. And this is powerful. And if you look at the bottom of the screen here on the right, you see you can even look at the technologies they're using, the number of people in the company and all that. So there's a lot of filters you can use. And what it does is geographically too, right? You can zero in on certain accounts and leads, and you can save those leads. And the next step is, once you save those leads, you can set up alerts on that. So whenever there is an event that's happening, like, they hired a new VP of marketing, or they hired more in sales, or there is a merger, remember the trigger events we talked about? You can use those events to customize your message. One quick tip here, what I've been doing is, recently, if I see that an account is a good fit for Flawless Inbound, I go ahead and see if they have a newsletter, and I subscribe to that. And that newsletter is going to give you a lot of information on what's happening internally, if there's a new product launch and stuff like that. And you can use that to reach out, customize your message on LinkedIn, and to make that first connect with the lead or the account that you want to connect with, right? Although there's a disclaimer with LinkedIn Sales Navigator, it's an investment. You can't just send out an email and forget about that lead if you don't get a response. You need to have a plan in action, like a plan B and a plan C, to close the loop on a particular person that you're targeting, and to move on if you don't get a response. And it's also prudent to target multiple decision makers, and LinkedIn does a very good job of showing you how many decision makers are there and who might be relevant for you. So if you haven't used it, definitely try the Sales Navigator. The next step on this slide will be, once you connect with them, as I said, even before you connect and start sending out those emails, have a strategy in place. If someone doesn't respond to my email, what do I do? And the cool thing about LinkedIn is there are set number of emails you get depending upon your license level. But if you manage to get a response from somebody, even a response like, John, thank you for reaching out, but we are not interested at this moment, that make sure that you won't lose your email credits, right? So if you can customize that first message that you send, and if you maximize the rate of response, you still get to keep your credits, and you can use a LinkedIn Sales Navigator and get a very good ROI from that. So that's about the Sales Navigator. In the next slide, what we want to talk about is, okay, just one more quick thing. That's one of the links I started using, and got very good tips on how to use the LinkedIn Navigator, how to use the different filters there and all that. So you guys need to watch that if you're trying to use the Sales Navigator. I highly recommend that. So moving on, we talked about customization. So once you have that connect with someone on LinkedIn, the next questions that you need to ask in your mind is, you need to be ready with what's relevant and what will be valuable for that particular person you connected with, right? And go to the stream, go look at their activities, go what they're commenting on, what they've published, if they've published a post and all that. This is how you build that relationship, right? So you give value to them. If you can add a very thoughtful comment to what they publish, do that. They would love that. Who wouldn't love that? Imagine you listening to me, you post something and say Max or me gets back to you and say, that's great, by the way, you hit the nail on the head. It's amazing what you shared. Thank you so much. By the way, have you thought about this or that, right? People value that, and no matter how busy they are, they like being on LinkedIn. They like seeing those likes and comments, and they will respond to you. So that's how you build relationship. Another way of doing that is also, once you understand what they're interested in, what is driving, what pain points will be common to the role that they are in a particular organization, you need to tailor your messaging. That's when it becomes valuable for them, right? So in the next slide, we'll give you an example of how to tailor that message. But one quick thing, I know social selling can be really challenging for companies on this call who've been growing through word of mouth, or who have been having a lot of repeat business. So one effective technique in social selling is the first step, and if you do it right, you'll get a ton of success with connecting with people, is breaking the ice. How do we do that? Here at Flawless Inbound, these are the steps that we follow. How do we break the ice? Is, again, as I said, customize it. And if you're on LinkedIn, the screenshot you see on your right, that's one way we connect with people. So I follow the companies that I want to connect with, and I look at what's happening internally, either on my LinkedIn stream or through the LinkedIn Sales Navigator. And once I see that there's an activity, this is how I reached out last weekend to the VP of Sales and Marketing for they had a merger. They became the largest packaging company in Western Canada. So I reached out to them, congratulated. He felt good about it. He connected with me, right? So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to his website, look at how things are set up, what they're doing, look at their blogs and all that, and I'm going to go back to him, provide some useful tips. And that's how I'm going to build the relationship. Again, as I said, don't be in a rush to pitch, right? And as you build the relationship, you remember the 5-step process that we talked about, right? So you build the relationship, you create engagement, and when the time is right, you put your request forward. Hey, Brad, hey, Bob, I think that this will be a very relevant event. Or give those couple of suggestions and say, would you like to discuss more? Like, can we have a quick chat? So you have already interacted. You've had multiple touch points. You've given them value through your social connection. So now they wouldn't hesitate as much. Or at least if they don't have time, request them, can you delegate someone else to check out our webinar, to check out our podcast, or to have this connect call with me? So even if a VP cannot do it, he might appoint a manager or someone who's managing that territory to connect with you and see, hey, let's see what Max and John has to say. So that's how you break the ice. That's one of the examples. And a framework that we follow, right? So cold emailing doesn't work anymore. Nobody has the patience for it. That's not going to, it's a waste of your time. So when we are doing distance selling, social selling, this is a framework that we use in our messaging here at Flawless Inbound. So it's called the 4T model. You lead with a trigger event, the customization. Then the second and the third point are interchangeable. You teach, you provide them with value based on the trigger event, or you can lead with third-party credibility. If you've worked with many other names in the same sector, that's going to pique their interest. Like, oh, wow, really? So use those three. And the fourth is, once you provided those three values, step 1, step 2, and step 3, then the fourth step is hey, could we connect? And the idea is to include a meeting link or something to make it very efficient. The rest of the presentation will tell you how to effectively use tools to do that. And the screenshot here is a very typical message we use here at Flawless Inbound. So as you see, the trigger event is there was some changes to their website. So, and I teach them, I give them a couple of points of value. I said a knowledge base can also be used as a lead generation tool. And we have done this for our prospects. And this is how we did that. I shared a link with them, conversational marketing strategy. So without leaving their cell phone or without having to switch screens, they can click on the link. So that's the idea, right? Make it efficient. They don't have much time. So how can you retain their interest or capture their interest on the same screen? Then I give a few more examples, and the fourth point, the tell me, is right there. Is this something you would be interested with? If so, would you be open for a quick chat? I give my meeting link right there. Or is there someone else in your organization that would see this as a benefit? Now, if this is a cold email, the chances of someone responding to this is still better than just trying to pitch, right? But now I'm leading with this after I have built the trust with this person socially. So the chances of me getting that first call or at least getting a favorable response is really high if you base it on this framework, right? So hopefully you got some value of that. Now, we've done all our distance selling. You've done, before we go on to that, tailoring content, what message resonates these days? Empathy is so important. So instead of saying, let's assume you are a software development company, right? So instead of having a message or a content that has this title, how to choose the right software for a development company, what you should be doing is instead work with your marketing team and weave empathy into whatever messaging you're putting online, right? You're pushing through social media. Instead of the one you see on the left, what do you think about the title here on the right? How to keep your software development project on budget, on time, and on feature, right? And this is going to resonate. You're using the right kind of keywords, and you're talking about pain points that a lot of people have, rather than focusing on how to select the right company. So you're selling value that a lot of people in businesses are looking to understand or gather or understand more about. That's what I'm saying. So empathy is very critical, and you got to tailor your content. Don't just use the content that you had so far. That doesn't work as effectively anymore. As Seher pointed out, the conversations that are going to attract people are something that are going to be very empathetic. So that's your take home here. And for the next slide, again, all this, what we are talking about is the focus is not to make a quick sale. The focus is how do we connect? How do we make them feel comfortable? How do we continue providing value? And how do we get to that fifth step that we shared with you? Like, how can we take the conversation from the social media realm to a personal interaction over the phone, video messaging, or hopefully pretty soon, if we get back to events, physical events, how can you have that meeting with them, with a decision maker? So that's the focus on social selling. And with that being said, now let's understand, let's assume that you're doing all this and you started connecting with people and you've got an email information and now they are part of your CRM. Now my question is, how do you now, once they are in the CRM, how do your tactics change? How do you stay in touch with them and nurture them? And I want to pass this on to Max to show you how exactly we start doing this at Flawless Inbound.
Perfect. Thanks a lot, John, for handing it back to me here. So we're getting now into the main course, I guess, of this workshop. What you guys all saw in the registration page. It said 9-step sales automation framework, but we've changed it to 11 steps because we did add 2 more and we like to over deliver here. So let's get into this quickly. Seher, this is you're the Batman fan here. This is the Val Kilmer Batman, isn't it?
I love it, Max. And you know what? It's timely because it's not about who you are. It's what you do that defines you. Go for it.
Except I don't think Val Kilmer was a good Batman, but the message is good. Perfect. So really quickly, just wanted to show you the 11 steps here, or sorry, 11 tools that we're going to be demoing just really quickly so you can have a snapshot of them. Just as a reminder too, we've had a bunch of new people join. If you at any time a question comes up, please put it in the chat. Sahar is going to be monitoring it and he will either answer it right on the chat, or we'll save it at the very end when we have a Q&A period. So the first two tools that I want to demo for you are the activity feed and the Chrome browser extension for the activity feed. So what is the activity feed? Well, before that, I want to start with a different question, and that is, how do you know what your circle of friends or your extended family is up to? And for a lot of you, I imagine the answer to that is you check social media. So think about social media for a second. The first thing you see when you log into Facebook is your timeline. And what's your timeline? It's a chronological feed of the activities your social network is engaging in, their posts, their likes, their shares, their comments. What the activity feed has done is it has adapted that into your network of prospects and current customers. So instead of likes, posts, comments, shares, you're going to see things like email opens, link clicks, website visits, book meetings, and more. You're also going to get notifications on that. So the takeaway here is this is using your judgment now. When you check your activity feed, you can see how qualified someone is depending on how they're interacting with your content. So this is how our days start here for John, Sahar, and myself at Floss and Bound as we check our activity feeds. That's after that we do our morning routine of 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups, and a 10K. Then we get into this. But so moving on, before I kind of go into the demo here, this is all the activities tracked by HubSpot, our tool of choice in the activity feed. And I'm going to show you how that looks. So hopefully you guys can all see this. This is my actual activity feed here. So sorry for exposing some people here, but this is exactly how it looks. So again, very much like a social media timeline. It shows you what the nature of the activity is. Someone filled out a registration form, someone clicked. I can even go deeper than that. So let me find a good one here. How about Mike? He's a neighbor of ours. So if I propagate that down, I can see even further detail on how that person has interacted with me. So whether it's email opens, whether it's registration, whether they registered for this webinar, what links. Look, I can even see what time of day that they're checking these at. I can see too, you have a little desktop icon here. Sometimes it'll actually show a mobile phone and it'll tell you that they're checking this on mobile. So again, using judgment now, let's say if I did want to reach out to Mike, I know what time of day he likes to check his emails at. I know what he's receptive to based on the content I've sent in the past. I can actually even go up here too, and I can filter. Maybe I don't want to see everything. Maybe I just want to see my things like booked meetings, right? Maybe I want to see my email opens, right? Maybe I just want to see whatever. The possibilities are endless here. So again, it is a really good way for your day to start. So from here, I'm just going to go back to the presentation. Oh, actually, pardon me, one more thing I want to show while on there is, now this is great if I'm inside of HubSpot, right? But what if I'm outside of HubSpot? You'll notice right now, I'm just on Google. So there's actually a free Google Chrome extension that HubSpot has made that appears in your taskbar. And this is exactly what I just showed you. This is your activity feed accessible outside of HubSpot. So maybe if I'm on the Flawless and Bound website, maybe I'm on LinkedIn doing other things, but boom, I'm still getting notifications. And look at this, I can open them right up and it's going to show exactly who's active on my activity feed. And the nice part is too, I can check that really quick, and maybe it's an activity, a qualified one that requires immediate action, like an email reply or someone booking a meeting with me. I can then click on that and navigate back to HubSpot and address it immediately. So again, extremely, extremely handy there. Show you too, whoops. You can scroll through it just like before. You can propagate down the menu. So again, very, very interesting, very powerful tool at your disposal. So from here, I'm going to pass it back to John. So we've shown you the activity feed, how to see who's qualified. So it's a really simple tool for you to use. John, do you mind going deeper now and show how detailed we can get with contact creation and contact management?
Absolutely, Max. Now, distance selling, you're doing social distancing and you're getting more traction. Now, how do you narrow down to who's interacting with us more? That's what Max showed you, right? So you can go to your activity stream, and then, well, based on the activity stream, you strategize your reach out, and then you start getting email information and stuff like that, and the contact is created. Now, HubSpot, I'm pretty sure a lot of you have CRMs already. If not HubSpot, you have some CRMs, and might be some people are still using Excel spreadsheets. Now, a lot of salespeople on this call, and we are all super busy. So how many times, I've been guilty of this, many times we add a contact in, but then our focus is on deals that are close to the proposal stage or close to closing, right? And we get pulled in, we start spending more time on those deals because we see that the weightage is more for those deals. And our contacts that we work so hard to bring in from LinkedIn is in limbo right there. So what HubSpot does is it gives us a very powerful and intuitive tool for us to keep on track of not just our pipeline and our deals, but also on the contact itself. I'm going to use a dating analogy, right? So pardon me if you think I'm uncreative here. How do you get a date? You need to be obsessed. There are many people vying for the same girl or for the same guy because they are attractive, right? And you need to get back to them regularly and show them that you value time with them. And that's what HubSpot allows us to do with all the contacts, right? And the two key things that HubSpot allows us to do, empowers us to do, is that it becomes, once we get, a contact becomes part of our organization, of our CRM, that becomes the single source of truth for us going forward, not just for the sales team, but for the marketing team also, because through HubSpot, we can decide, or we can recommend or request the marketing team to interact with them or a particular way, or to reduce their interactions with them. So it's a single source of truth for the entire organization. And the second thing is, it allows you to keep track of what's happened with this contact and what we need to continue doing to get that first date with them, right? With that being said, this is a screenshot. I'm going to share my screen and show you exactly how things happen at the contact level. I'm going to reduce this here. So first of all, contact creation, we all know, like most of the CRMs offer these opportunities where you can type in manually and create a contact in your CRM. You can customize it, add any data fields you want. HubSpot has that too. Another way, there is this integration, two-way sync between the email provider. It could be Gmail, Outlook, or any other email provider, and the HubSpot CRM. So the first time somebody interacts with you electronically, that name gets pulled in to your CRM contact list. It gets automatically created for you so that you don't have to spend time typing in those values. The third cool way is if you download the HubSpot app on your cell phone, if you have a stack of business cards, I'm pretty sure the way things are going here, we might, at least in the next few months, we might have some events where we can go collect business cards. You can click the business scanner feature in your HubSpot app on the phone. You can scan a card in directly, and it will fill in all the fields that you need, and boom, the contact is created automatically without you having to spend more time or come back from something and being required to fill that in manually. It saves a lot of time. But that's not the cool part about HubSpot. The cool part is this. So I'm just assuming everyone can see my screen. Max, say here, you guys can see it, right?
Yes, we can.
Okay, lovely. There's a lot of information here. So I can drill down into a contact. Seher Gattas is one of the contacts. We are so aggressive in our sales. I'm trying to sell it to my boss now, right? So what you need to focus on is right here in the middle of the page, middle of the screen here, the activity stream, right? As I said, everything that has happened to this contact once they have become part of your CRM can be seen here, not just for you, your sales manager, everybody can see that, what life cycle stage they are in, what tasks are due, and everything pops up right here. Another cool thing is notes. So if you want to create a note, you can create a note and you can collaborate with your sales manager, with someone else in your sales team. For example, if Seher is the one who's met this contact first at a trade show, at an event, and he could, and I see that they're connected on LinkedIn, I can say, hey, at Seher, can you introduce me, right? Introduce me, etc., etc. And I save this note. This will pop up in Seher's inbox. Emails, you can email them from your CRM and all the activity gets logged in automatically so that you can go back and see what the previous thing was. And if you also, one thing is, if you want to create a new email, you can create a new email, insert a link or a video. You can create video emails, insert an image, whatever you want to. Also, there might be companies here who are listening to this webinar who might have multiple deals under the same contact. So you can decide which particular deal should this conversation be stored under, and you can use this option here to unselect deals and to kind of direct it in the right direction. Also, you can create a follow-up task. Follow-up task, you can create it and you can also assign that to a particular person. So as you see, you can literally live in your CRM and make sure everything happens here without having to go through multiple applications. The cool thing here is you can even make a phone call using your CRM. No need of spending on dial pad or like, you know, any other additional application. Put in your number and you can call, you can record calls for training purposes. And other than that, you can add a company, associate this contact with another company or the same company, and you can line up as many deals as you want. As you see, very intuitive, no clutter. It's easy to figure out. We are not looking through traffic to figure out, okay, what am I going to do? Also, you can customize everything that your organization considers valuable, phone number, email, whether this opportunity is qualified or not, how many website pages they have visited from your company. And remember, I talked about alignment with your marketing team. You can even have a feature where you can say stop marketing or market on events alone, because we spend a lot of time connecting with contacts, and as salespeople, you will agree with me that if they get a lot of marketing emails, even before we will build the trust and make that first connect, they will unsubscribe. So there's a lot of features that you can customize here and make sure that you are on top of what's happening and this contact is not ignored by you. So going back to my dating analogy, it's almost like you have moved in even before the first date, right? I know that's cheesy, but let's move on. So the next one I want to talk about is, you might be wondering, why did John skip on task? Yes, task is a very, very powerful feature for us. And Max said activity stream is the first thing that we go to. After that, we look at a task. And so what I can show you here is that once you can create a task, see this, whatever task that you put in, whether it be a contact or once it's become a deal, everything will pop up within the stream task. And so that you are a super busy salesperson, you will know exactly what tasks are pending, what I need to get to here. And because of the integration with your email provider, you will also get those emails in your email provider's inbox also. So there's no way you're going to miss out on this. And also, again, the main target is based on what's due and what's not. If anything is due, it will show up in red. So it becomes easy for your sales team to see if there is any task that they haven't completed. So they can go in, complete that, or they can reassign that task and create a different due date, right? So that's how you do that on task. Another thing that you can do is you can segment it based on various criteria that's due this week, overdue, or based on the activities that the tasks are that the tasks have been grouped under. So you can look at what all are under calls or emails, etc. But that's not all, right? There's a feature called task queue, and what you can do is you can create a queue on, for example, if you had a webinar and you want your sales team to follow up on particular contacts, after the webinar, so you can create that task as I've created here, and you can assign that to different team members, right? Or for example, you came up with a blog on cybersecurity best practices, or asset management, digital asset management best practices. You can do the same thing. You can queue up and you can delegate it to different team members so that they make sure that it pops up, all the reminders pops up, and they go ahead and get that done. So task is very cool and very powerful for us, even though we are busy, helps us to maintain track of what we need to do and prioritize our outreach. Another thing I want to talk about task is when we go back to contacts here, right? As we are strategizing during a sales meeting, if it's a deal or a contact or whatever it is, once we get the next step, we can quickly create the task as we are speaking to the sales manager, in this case, Seher. So webinar follow-up, we can assign it to ourselves or send it out to someone else in the sales team. So no notebooks, no Excel spreadsheets. Your contact lives in the CRM and everything can be done powerfully right through this. So now you see how easy it is to track, manage your contacts, and sync with your marketing team to nurture these contacts better. What this means now is that you increase the percentage of contacts that become qualified opportunities in your CRM because of your diligence. Now, once they become deals, how do we manage them, Max?
Sorry, well, John, I will get to that with my next part of the demo here. So let's move right along. Just a reminder for everyone, we're going through these slides quickly, but you are going to receive them in your email probably a day or two later. So John showed you contacts, he showed you tasks. So now I'm going to show you virtual deal pipeline. So what is the virtual deal pipeline? Well, deal pipeline is something that's not unique to organizations. It's been around for generations, and it's an effective forecasting and sales management tool. So as you can see here, I have a little screenshot of a deal pipeline. You can move basically your prospect across the buyer's journey from the point of where they're a prospect to a paying customer. You can also assign criteria to them, dollar values, all of that good stuff. But again, what we're finding is Excel kind of tends to be the tool of choice for a lot of sales managers out there to manage reps and to manage their individual deal pipelines. We use the HubSpot deal pipeline because of a few advantages that it offers. So I'm going to get to those here. So let me share my screen. John, Sahara, can you just verify that you can see that?
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So if I go to deals here, it's going to look exactly like that screenshot I showed you. Oops, hold on a second. Apologies for that, everybody. Let me just stop sharing my screen because it didn't work. And I'll just be two minutes here.
And while Max is doing that, if you guys have any questions, I'm just monitoring the chat panel. If you have any questions or if you have specific maybe questions in mind, we definitely are ready to answer them at any time. And
there we go.
Max?
I got it. Yeah, apologies for that. I just had a weird kind of internet glitch here. So I'm just gonna go to sharing my screen. Live TV, right, guys? All right. So going into deal pipeline now, again, just like that screenshot I showed you, but there's a few key advantages here. So again, this looks like your traditional deal pipeline, which is very nice. You can interact with it, but maybe you're not a fan of how the deal pipeline looks and you like to look at things more at a chart form. So if I click that, the table view, Boom. Now, again, sequential, everything is kind of lines up, looks a lot like an Excel spreadsheet. I'm more of a fan of kind of the visual representation. So that's what I'm going to use going from here. So again, a lot of you already use the deal pipeline, but what are the key advantages here? Well, number one, you can easily change things on the fly. So what do I mean by that? I'm going to click on a deal. So I'm going to click on Microsoft here. We have a lot of drop-down menus here and a lot of ways to change dollar values, close dates, deal stages, right? So I can name this deal whatever I want using this. I can change the dollar value here on the fly. I can even change the close date. So maybe it's before June the 16th. Maybe they're really qualified now. They want to buy at the end of May. I can change that. I can change the deal stage from there. I can assign new context because maybe Bill Gates isn't the only person I'm trying to sell to. Maybe he has involved more people in his sales process. So again, suddenly, as John showed you, we have context. So Bill Gates would be a contact in our HubSpot. I can add additional context to there as they interact with us. And all their contact information is going to show up. I mean, here's his very real email address and phone number here. Again, the possibilities are endless. I'll go a little bit deeper with that. Secondly, another really cool feature is I showed you how you can change the dollar value. What's very neat about the virtual deal pipeline is the automated summation here. So every single deal stage has the revenue amount associated with it tied to the bottom. This is really good for sales managers just because now you know how much future revenue or for future forecasted revenue, I should say, you have at each deal stage. And then you can measure that on your deal velocity. So if your sales cycles are a couple, let's say a month, and you have someone in presentation schedule, well, they probably are near the end of a sales cycle. So maybe you'll be seeing 104,000 in future revenue in a couple of weeks' time. Again, no organization wins every single one of their deals, but again, lots of very valuable insight there. Thirdly, you can move deals along the deal stage here, just like that. That's a real simple way to do it. But what's really cool too is you can establish prerequisite activities in order to move one deal from the next. So we're in a demo mode right now, but if let's say I was in the flawless inbound pipeline right now and Microsoft was in there, if I tried to move Microsoft from presentation schedule to decision maker brought in, it will prompt me to input some information before I do that. So again, in order to move any deal, whether it's in a virtual deal pipeline or an Excel one, you want to establish certain qualifiers before you do that. What do I mean by that? Well, if I have done a presentation here, I'm hopeful that it's not just Bill Gates brought in. So when I move Microsoft from presentation schedule to decision maker brought in, I have to have maybe a second decision maker in there. I have to have gotten them, maybe, depending on your industry, to have downloaded our mobile app to do that. I'm going to show you really quickly the amount of customization accessible here. It's all on this left-hand side. So when I click into the deal, all of it is right here. So the about this deal, once it loads. So again, we have two here because we're in the demo mode. You can put just about anything there for a drop-down menu, and make it required. So you can put some optional, some required, just to ensure that there's credibility in your deals as you move them along your sales pipeline. So again, extremely powerful, a powerful tool there, and it compels your salespeople to do all the prerequisite activities required to keep deals honest and to get them closer and closer to closing them. Thirdly, there's complete accessibility here and restrictions. So let's say you're a sales manager managing multiple deal pipelines across multiple regions. You can establish who has visibility into that and who has restrictions. So let's say I'm a sales rep, Sahara's my manager, and I'm working on this Microsoft deal. We can set it up so only Sahara and I can see this pipeline and see this deal, but we can restrict it from John from seeing it, because again, we don't want that overlap. We don't want reps stealing business from one another. Furthermore, you're going to notice here, there's a lot of similarity here between the deal level and the contact level that John showed you. So you have activity feed about how everyone's interacting with you. You have notes, but the key distinction here is the more contacts I add here, the more activity I am going to see. So, and it's going to be the activity specific to the deal. So anyone I put in here, this is the activities, all the emails, all the phone calls, all the tasks. It's going to be specific to that deal, and nothing outside of that is going to be visible from here. Lastly, we'll get to this a little bit later, but there's on-the-fly deal reporting. I was showing you how quickly you can change close dates and revenue amounts. All of that automatically updates our reports. So then sales managers can look later at the end of the day and kind of see a high-level snapshot of how the sales activities are actually going in their organization. So that's the deal pipeline there. Of course, I can always create new deals, but that's very, very simple to do. Now, you've seen all the advantages here regarding a deal pipeline. So I'm going to pass it back to John here. We want to show you how to effectively manage your deals and your customer activities outside of your CRM. John, do you think you could show that for everyone?
Absolutely. Thank you, Max. And I'm going to be real quick about this. And we know one of the cool things about HubSpot, what it allows us to do is we don't have to change our tech stack because we are using HubSpot. It can seamlessly slide into whatever email provider that you're using, and you don't have to live on your CRM all the time and toggle between tabs to be able to control your pipeline. As the email integration with CRM will show, you can track all your activities and you can control your pipeline. And because of the integration, you can also create a two-way sync. So there are many businesses where people want to be in their email inbox without being in the CRM and be able to email somebody, log that on the CRM, or vice versa. At the same time, they need some tags to be able to differentiate email. So there might be a complex sales process where you don't want every email or every name that you're interacting with to be in your CRM. You want to be able to have the ability to log certain emails, but leave some out, even though they are part of the sales process. And you can do that absolutely with HubSpot, and the integrations available. So I'm going to share my screen here and show you how, quickly, how this can be done. So let me first move to this. So this is in your HubSpot CRM itself. Go to settings, integrations. So you can have these email integrations. So with Gmail, with your Office 365, or with Outlook, you can go, it's simple, just click a couple of clicks and boom, you have added this, as you know. So we use Outlook here, and you can, as I said, control and you'll get email notifications, who's opening it, who is not. This is one of the contacts, Rosie from a CRM. I apologize for bringing up that name again without permission, but there's not any kind of sensitive information here. So you can open it in the CRM. You can see their email activities, how many times they opened. You can see the task due. So you get the idea, right? And there was a question in the chat window of the webinar that, can I email and still log it into your CRM and all that? Absolutely, you can do that. So new email, and if you scroll, you can select the option for the new email. As you see, you can select the option of, okay, is this a conversation I want to log in my CRM, right? You can track this email, you can log this email, or you can uncheck both that. So yes, you can do that. And as I said, you don't have to live in your CRM. You can go around, use all your tech stack, and still make sure that you are keeping an eye on the CRM, keeping an eye on that deal that's ready to close, and continue driving your effort from whatever application you are on. Okay, so with that flexibility, I want to show, okay, now we have done all this. Now it's time to set up the next meeting to move the deals towards a close, right? So we have done a good job of nurturing our deals. Now, usually what happens is we are emailing back and forth. Hey, is this time okay for you? Is this day okay for you? Oh, can I have 2 p.m. instead of 12 p.m.? It becomes very inefficient. So I want to ask Max, is there a way we can set up a meeting to move a deal down our pipeline in just one email? Is there a way we can do that with HubSpot?
Absolutely, John. If you give me back control here, I'm going to show everyone how simple that is. So going back to the presentation here, we're going to show you something called meeting links, something you might already be using. So what are meeting links? It's exactly how it sounds. It is basically a link that looks exactly into your that links exactly into your calendar, and you can and allows you to book time with people. So as John said earlier, HubSpot integrates really well with Outlook, Google Calendar, and other connectors like Zoom. We'll show you that a little bit later. So what is the meeting link? So we're in an era where a less intrusive sale is we're going to be there for the foreseeable future. We were already heading there before COVID, but now office phones aren't being answered. It's difficult to reach decision makers, and really email or calling someone on their cell phone is the only way to get a hold of someone. So now think about it for a second. If you don't get someone live on the phone, how hard is it to book a meeting? It can get pretty frustrating because you're saying, hey John, hey Sahara, does 1 p.m. on Friday work for you? No, how about, and then they get back to you, oh, how about 3 p.m. on Tuesday? Nope, sorry guys, that doesn't work for me. There is a really unintrusive way to get around this, and that's through the meeting link here. So here's a snapshot of my meeting link, but I'm actually going to go to the real thing here. I'm going to share my screen here. John, Sahara, you guys can see that, right? So
yes,
here's my actual meeting link. It's the same snapshot I showed you. Notice that we are today, May. Now, the earliest someone can book me today is at 1:15. Well, why is that? It's just past noon here in Alberta. Well, you have complete customization over your meeting link as well. We have a workshop right now. So that in my Outlook calendar, that time slot, 11:30 onwards, is booked solid, and with that workshop, and no one can actually book me during this time. So the earliest they can do that, book me, is 1:15. On top of that too, I have complete customization over the length of the meeting, right? So, do they want to meet with 15 minutes, 30 minutes, 1 hour meeting? Again, give them some control over how much time you actually have. You also have insight into future weeks, right? And I could specify that. I only want people to look a month in advance because I can't plan 6 meetings 6 of the months in advance, right? So I set it up so from 1 month from now they can book time with me. I can also go here. So here's where you create your meeting link in HubSpot. I'm gonna click this one and show you what kind of control you have. So you have the meeting name. You could specify what the type of meeting is. You can put how much time is, how long it is. You can put a photo of yourself. Again, change what the name is. You can go further than that too. So notice you have Zoom integration. So the moment someone clicks my meeting link and books a time that works for both of us, it's going to send them a Zoom meeting request automatically. I don't have to do anything. I can put a little description there about what the meeting is. I can even do scheduled reminders of the meeting. So let's say they booked me 2 weeks in the past. An hour before the meeting, they're getting an automated email saying, hey, you have a meeting with Max Prima at 1 p.m. I can go further than that, and I can schedule my availability. So what do I mean by that? I can specify my hour of work or the hours where I actually want to have a meeting. I can even put how far in advance. As I said, I like to make my calendar accessible. I can put a notice period of how long I need in order to prep for the meeting. So, right now, the earliest, as you can see, you can book me at is 1:15 because I want to prep for that. That will change as we get closer to 1:15, and I can change that to whatever I want. So I could put 30 minutes, 2 hours, however much time I need. I could put a buffer time between meetings too. So again, if I think some of my meetings are going to go long, and I don't want it to kind of interfere with the rest of my workday or a consecutive meeting I have, I can put a buffer time too. So if I have a meeting booked or a webinar booked or whatever it might be, the next time someone could book me after that is half an hour. And again, start time increments. I can put how much accessibility they have to in terms of setting up a time with me. So All of that is available from the HubSpot meeting link configuration page. Going back to the presentation there, again, a very easy, unintrusive way to get meetings, which are extremely high impact, and it quickly fills up your week. So that's what the meeting link is all about. John, I'd like to pass it back to you now. Can you show us some cool features regarding email personalization and uploading documents in HubSpot and what you get out of doing that?
Absolutely. Hey, you know what? I would like to thank everybody for their patience here, but we are getting into the best part of the presentation now. It doesn't mean that we have 30 more minutes. We might have 10 more minutes, okay? So relax. Now, what if you have done all this? You still haven't got that first meeting yet. Does HubSpot have a secret tool that we could use? Absolutely. We call that the sequencing tool. And this is how we use it, right? You know, it's about what if I tell you, there are sales managers on this call, that you can have multi-touch points with hand-picked contacts without ever having to, I shouldn't say ever, without having to pick up the phone or email every time. Would you be interested? I bet you would be. And this is exactly what the sequencing tool allows us to do. For those who haven't booked that meeting and had that conversation, I'm going to share my screen quickly here. And I'm going to show you where this is. So sequencing is an automation tool. This is different from workflows, right? This is a purely sales tool right there, sequences, right? And this is not the workflow automation that the marketing uses. This is when, as I said, have multiple touch points with hand-picked contacts that you want to reach out to and invite for specific events or for specific conversations. So you can go here, you can create your own sequence. And I have created a sequence here already, just to save time. So selling despite distance, the name of this webinar, right? And what you can do is, what you mean by sequences is that you can create multiple touch points here. And another cool thing is you can start using video emails in your sequence, and much better than text emails. A direct face-to-face message, even when you cannot meet them personally. You can highly customize it, include a link where they could register for the webinar or whatever you're asking them to do, or to read a blog, etc., etc. Now, all the prospects are busy. This might not happen with the first email. So that's where sequences allow you to set up the second step. And the cool thing is everything can be automated, and you can determine the settings on the sequence itself, right? You don't want them to getting an email during the weekends. And if someone responds to your message, clicks, has a meeting, or clicks on a link, some kind of a response you get, it'll be automatically unenrolled from this list. So what this allows you to do, the sequencing tool, is it allows you to keep your eye as a salesperson on the deals that are near the proposal stage or that you're trying to close. At the same time, provide very good value, continue to provide those touch points and values to your contacts, and it increases the chances of you having that first meeting. How cool is that, right? You don't have to go click on individual contacts and keep writing it to them. Create a customized message this way. And other thing that we all use very commonly is the documents tool here in the CRM. What purpose does this serve? We send out an email. There are many times after a meeting with a prospect, we attach a PDF of our presentation, right? Or a blog, not a blog, a PDF of a presentation, or might be if you guys have a proposal, sometimes we attach a PDF of that. Now, we all know that a lot of email interactions and emails are opened on mobile devices, right? And what the document allows you to do is, it allows you to bunch together all the commonly used documents in your organization within your CRM, and you can access that anytime that you want, and you can categorize it depending upon your sales team. So I've got one loaded here, the value matrix table. So what I do to increase interaction with this document is, after my meeting, I'm going to click on that, go to the document, click on this particular document, create a shareable link, and enter the email address, Sony Robbins, and I get a shareable link. I copy it and I include it in my, go to my CRM, and I include it in the email saying, Hey, Sonny Robbins, thank you for your time and so much. By the way, this is the recap or this is the document I'm talking about, and boom, the link right there. So they don't have to scroll down to the bottom of the email, click on a link, open another window on their cell phone or anything like that. They can access everything right from that link. That's not the cool part. The cool part is once they click on the link, HubSpot is going to track everything, like the number of minutes they have spent or seconds they have spent, what section did they focus on, how many times they open. And it becomes a powerful tool for a sales team because I can then strategize. Okay, you know what? This person is not really focused because they didn't do the homework. They didn't even open my proposal. They didn't even look at this. So then I can change my strategy and try something else. So all this makes it super effective and gives you many more opportunities to have that first connect or to move a particular contact or deal down the pipeline. So now with all this, right, you have the sequences, the documents, powerful tools indeed. But once the deal responds and now you're moving them down to the proposal stage, how does the HubSpot CRM help? Max, could you explain that a little more, please?
Absolutely, John. Yeah, we're going to get into the big one now, which is virtual proposals. So before we get further than that, again, all these slides are going to be sent to everyone in your emails in about a day or two, so don't worry too much about the content. So virtual proposals, some of the feedback we're hearing from organizations is there's friction in their sales process right now amidst COVID because they can't do face-to-face meetings, and their contract system, their proposal system, relied on pen and paper or some technology like scanning, printing, faxing to submit deals. So what we do to get around that is we use virtual proposals. Now, HubSpot does have its own quote building feature, but we actually use a connector with Proposify that we're going to demo. So here are a couple of the advantages of it. You can all your proposals already uploaded in template form. It's because it's a connector with HubSpot, it extrapolates all the relevant data from HubSpot and inputs it into your proposal, making it very quick to put one together. You also have insight into the analytics on how people are interacting with your proposals once you've sent them, the number of clicks, amount of views. And lastly, most importantly, the use of virtual signatures is available here. So there's no need for pen and paper anymore. You can send someone a digital proposal, they can click on it, and they can sign it. So what do I mean by that? Let me show you. So going into here, so again, we're at a deal level. I'm trying, just like John, I'm trying to sell to Flawless and Bound right now. And I'm going to scroll down here. So again, we have all these fields on the right side. As you can see, there's one proposal powered by Proposify. So I'm going to show you what it looks like. Whoops. There we go. So it's going to be in preview mode right now. Now, look at all this. So again, a very standard looking page. I've already sent this out. Hopefully it gets signed. It is extrapolated. Notice this. It's taken what the actual deal name was in HubSpot and put it here. It also put the date that I sent it out there. All of that. I can also set the due date. I want it due today, right? All of that. And that is taken from the close date in HubSpot. Again, we have a welcome letter, right? We're in the Flawless and Bound test account. So again, it's extrapolated Sahara's name. It's taken the company's name. It has taken the deal name. All of that, put it in there. Extremely customizable and powerful. But I want to scroll to kind of the very end here. So again, your standard terms and conditions and statement of work and scope of services is all in there. But if we go kind of near the bottom here, here's the big one, the virtual signature. So when I've sent this to Sahar, he can click right in here and sign this agreement right off of his computer. There's no need for him to print this off, sign it, and then scan it back to me or fax it, whatever, however people are doing deals right now. He sends that, he said, hit sign and accept here. It sends me an automated email, and I suddenly get that proposal, and now I can sign my section here. Again, extremely powerful, and it removes some of the cumbersome steps that we're used to regarding getting proposals signed. On top of that too, before he's even done that, in HubSpot, let me get here, I will start getting notifications here, right? As you can see, default contact, right? Because we're in a demo mode. Sahar, when he looked at this today, right? Or sorry, that would have been me yesterday. When he looked at it at 5:31, I got a notification. Again, it shows up in the activity feed, extremely powerful. So if I've had an outstanding proposal out there for a while and I want to know what the status is, I go back to the activity and I see, okay, when were they looking at it back? Is it before? Is it time for a follow-up? All those analytics are accessible to me. So again, going back to the presentation here, once you get the good news and the proposal signed, you do get another notification, and that's this one. Again, a very standardized email saying, hey, congratulations, ring the bell, Sahar has signed the proposal, woohoo. And then you can, of course, click it there if you haven't signed it yourself, do that. Once that's done, there's an automated workflow program that it sends out a PDF form of the proposal to whoever signed it with your signature on there too, so that they have it in their hands too. And of course, whether it's a virtual proposal or any proposal, you got to celebrate your deals, right? So I'll let you enjoy those for a couple of seconds before moving on. So again, we've kind of taken you from contact to proposal level. There's one last tool we want to show. So again, this is great and all, and this is a distracting slide, so I'm going to move on to the next one here. But from a high level, wouldn't it be cool if you could see reports on the activities and the productivity of your salespeople and be able to make judgments on how effective their sales activities are? So Sahar, do you think you could shine some light on this, pardon me, about the live reporting tool in HubSpot and how that works?
Absolutely. And you know what, guys, Max and John, I think you guys are doing an awesome job. While you guys are presenting, I was trying to answer as much question as I can. I hope all the audience on the call right now are getting a lot of value. We're getting a lot of good feedback from audience. So the last part of our presentation today is help me help you. That's exactly the Tom Cruise picture. Show me the money, right? So let's imagine now you are a sales leader. And now you're actually managing a sales team, either 5 or 500. They're maybe spread in all the US states or spread in all the Canadian provinces. As a sales leader, your mission, if you choose to accept it, is to make your sales team life easier. Coach them on how to do things better. But just 1 minute, how can you coach them without having analytics and without understanding what are they doing right and where I can coach them better? So the next slide, you need to, as a sales leader, build a KPI process. What's the activity that I need to be measuring my team on? There is daily activity, weekly activity, or monthly activity. But you know what? Instead of me speaking, let's go to the demo directly. I'm actually going to share right now my sample of a report that you can easily design in HubSpot. I hope everybody can see that. The key question right now is, what are you coaching your team for? Are you coaching for productivity, or are you coaching for specific opportunity? You can see here, this is a very sample of a KPI for an organization. I can see how much of my team are doing from a task perspective. How many notes have they taken? How many emails have they sent? How many calls have they done in the last few while? Of course, you'd expect I can measure per week, per month, depending on the KPI. Then some of you might be asking, can I do this report per sales rep? Absolutely. Here you go. Each sales rep, I can know exactly how many calls, how many emails, how many meetings. Not only that, I can go granular. So while they're having their calls, how many were connected, how many left a voicemail, how many have proper displacement or undisplacement follow-up. Also, if I've been asked by my CEO or by my VP of sales, so where is our ROI on digital media buy, on organic search and referral and networking and webinars? How many deals were actually created from those channels? I can easily answer those questions. I don't need to spend a day or 2 days or 3 days trying to figure it out. That's how you can maybe coach as a sales leader on productivity. How about coaching on opportunity? In a single dashboard, I can see all the opportunities that have been in the funnel for the last while. Let's imagine we're a $50 billion company. I think that makes perfect sense. Then from there, maybe I can go in and I can understand, are the deals moving fast or slower? Where are the deals stuck? What stage were the deals stuck in? Not only that, if I want to, I can actually map my actual versus goal. How much have been selling? I can actually even go day by day or week by week to understand the dollar value and the amount of deals and percentage that have been closed. Final thing I want to share with you guys is maybe some of you are saying, hey, Seher, by the way, can we actually go in more details and see each pipeline? How many deals are actually happening on each pipeline each day and each week? Here's a sample, a quick sample. You can split by win, loss. Again, you would expect I can see all my sales reps. How are they doing in each region? How many deals have they been working on? I can even granularly go into Max and click here, see exactly all the deals that Max have been working on. So it will be a great opportunity for me to go back and forth and coach Max or John on specific deals that we need to move faster in the pipeline. So again, as a sales leader, your mission, if you choose to accept it, is to empower your team. Which brings me to the final part of our session today. Listen, I know we covered a lot today. We started first with how you start breaking the ice and selling through distance. John showed us amazing 5 steps on how to unlock LinkedIn. Then he went deeper into the 4T process on how to start engaging proper in mail. And then from there, Max and John show us a day in the life of an SDR, an account manager, how they are back and forth working on deals, managing their time and doing a lot of things. And then I hopefully showed you at the end how, as a sales manager, you can actually run dashboard reports for your team. So here's the closing thought. First, what we showed you here is efficiency and visibility. And of course, we showed you just the tip of the iceberg, what a platform like HubSpot can bring to your organization. We have worked with a lot of organizations in US, Canada that can help you to do sales enablement. Second slide is, we know that those are very interesting times. So there are 3 takeaways I'll ask everybody to think of. First, this is the time that you have to pivot your sales playbook. Listen, if you have an obsolete process, you will get obsolete results. This is the time where we need to look inward, look to our process and tactics and see what's working and what's not working. Number 2, this is actually the time to move faster than competition. This is not the time to pause and reflect. This is the time to do A/B testing. Look at the 4T framework that John had shared with you. Look at what kind of technology platforms that you can use in your CRM. Test those and see which one can bring more time to your team so that they can do more with less. The final thing is, even though I'm asking you to move faster, be patient with results. This is the time where you have to understand what really works and what doesn't work. And you know what? Your customers will be the true advocate for you at that time. They can tell you what's working for them and what's not working for them. So with that, I just want to hand it over back to Max.
Yeah, so just a couple more items. Again, we've gone over here, so we appreciate all those of you, most of you have stayed on this call, so thank you very much. One more thing. The flawless inbound distance selling evaluation tool. So we showed you 11 steps today. We, in our follow-up email, as John said, the sequencing tool, that's exactly what we're going to use for all of you. We'll send this to you so you can evaluate your own sales activities and your own sales infrastructure and kind of be able to objectively measure how well positioned it is in this market to sell from distance. So look for that in your emails. Moving on, connect with us. So as we said, we're extremely active, the 3 of us on LinkedIn, but on top of that too, we would really appreciate if you could follow the Flawless Inbound LinkedIn page. We are constantly putting new content on there. So all future webinars and workshops are featured a lot on our Flawless Inbound LinkedIn page. We have a quarterly workshop and a monthly webinar. So just to let you know that. We also post things like videos. We've just created a LinkedIn community that's called the Breakthrough Club, where Seher is actually doing interviews over video conferencing with with business leaders across North America about how they are breaking through and rising above the noise amongst COVID-19, what strategies they're putting in place. So again, look out for that. We're also posting our blogs too. I just wrote one myself. I heard it's nominated for a Pulitzer, so please read it. Moving on, our next webinar, June 7th, 2020. You're all going to get these slides, so you can register here, or you can go to flawlessinbound.ca and find it under webinars. Lastly, just a couple takeaways, just a reminder, here are some of our accolades. The big one is we've helped hundreds of organizations with complex sales, marketing, and service software implementations like HubSpot that we just showed you. We're part of the we're a HubSpot Platinum partner, one of 20 partners in the entire world that's on their HubSpot advisory board. We're a member of a number of organizations like Rainforest Edmonton, BC Tech, and we have operations in Alberta, BC, and soon the United States. And there's the team. And that brings us to the end. Thank you all for remaining here and for listening to our webinar. We really appreciate it, especially that we've gone over. We appreciate how attentive you are and that you spent this time with us. John, Sahar, and I are going to stay on this call. We're going to monitor the chat box. If you have any questions that have come up, we're going to do our best to answer them here. So thank you, everyone. We really appreciate it.
Thank you all. Stay safe and good luck.